Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the good people in relation to the sporting fraternity in and across the globe. And of course, not forgetting my Kenyan people. This is Monday Night Sports. So with me, Oronje Kusimba, we are kicking in over the week because over the weekend, it has been a lituation. Things were lit in matters sports. Of course, this is deep and tight. We are talking about matters sports from the word go, and your 30 minutes of sporting action begin now. Remember, you can get a chance of interacting with us via our social media platforms at Switch TV KE. That is Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Across all social media platforms, get to interact and tell us what you think we should be doing better, or rather what you think we should cover in relation to sports, because we are here just because of you. And also remember, my personal social media handles are Oronje Kusimba _ across all social media platforms. And to start us off, because this one was bad for our noisy neighbors, that is Uganda. But of course, let me start with telling you that Kenya's 7's had a bigger situation, or rather not so big, in Uganda when they went down for the Africa men's 7's, where Kenya was lucky enough to proceed, and Kenya will be playing in the Commonwealth Games, and of course the Rugby 7's World Cup, which will be held in South Africa, Cape Town. And one thing about the Commonwealth, about this particular competition, it was that the top 3 teams were to get a direct qualification to the World Cup, which is the 7th World Cup, which will be happening in South Africa. Now, number 1 was Uganda. Number 2 was Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe actually managed to reach the finals of this particular competition, and it was a big final for them with Uganda. But I'll be talking about matters that in our second story. And of course, Kenya finished at number 3. And let me just start by saying, today's show is a special dedication to this particular child, or rather, this particular boy, Young Tuck. I've just said child because it happens to be the first Swahili word that comes into my head. Huyu ni mtoto sana. But now, this is Amon Wamalwa. Amon Wamalwa and his call-up for the Kenya 7's national team, which was representing Kenya at the African Men's 7's in Uganda. And guess what about this young tech? Amon Wamalwa emerged to help Kenya get the important tries. These are the tries that took Kenya to the World Cup and also the Commonwealth. Incredible stuff. Now, one thing you should know about Amon Wamalwa is that he was just recovering from a heart surgery. He had heart problems. That was 8 months ago. And he came in a young tech, and he managed to carry the country and also bag a hat-trick during the game that Kenya played against, that is Zambia, which was now the decider whether Kenya was going to play in the World Cup or Kenya was not going to play in the World Cup. So special thanks as a country and as the Monday Night fraternity, Monday Night Sports fraternity. Amon Wamalwa, you did as good. Now over to a second story, which happens to be quite interesting. I didn't want to say it, but just special thanks, and also we give credit where it's due. This is Uganda. Uganda played against Kenya in this particular men's Africa men's 7's. They were the host, and Uganda clobbered Kenya. This is a clobber because 22-12 is not a small scoreline. It's a big scoreline. And I think Uganda, they should, to some extent, I think Kule Uganda, it's a national holiday, because Uganda, there is just something about Uganda. When Uganda beats Kenya, and they started ranting on social media, they started ranting wherever it was, that they were going to deal with Kenya, and they managed to do that. But let me tell you something, our noisy neighbors, Uganda. One thing about that team is that you should consider maybe having a better drainage for your field, because these games were stopped, they were put to a hold. That was on Sunday, yesterday, simply because of the rain that was in Champara, Uganda, because the games were being held at the Chadondo, where Philip Wokorach and also the likes of his brother is Michael Wokorach, they started the rugby over there. And also a special thanks and a big up to Levis Oshen, is also part of that squad. But we've said we are going to give credit where it's due. The likes of Casito, who happened to be the MVP, who happened to be the man of the match in the finals against Zimbabwe, and also the likes of one-man Philip Wakoracha, a showstopper MVP according to me in that particular tournament. Double Black, I'm not forgetting you, also a very good player. Now matters local, because the Kenya Rugby Union nationwide finals were played this weekend, and guess what? That is the Falcons. The Falcons were in a position to club and also beat Zitek in this particular finals, and the scores were in favor of the Leicester Falcons. Let's just get to see how it went down in relation to the cup lifting of this particular trophy, because it was a tough and hard encounter, and it was hard fought. And let me just put this one to your attention, that the Falcons came into this particular match and went in unbeaten for the whole season. Just get to see what happened in the trophy lifting. Okay, now, congratulations to the Leicester Falcons. And of course, it was, one thing about finals is that, let me just put in the Swahili slang, that finali haina mnyonge. Because when it comes to a final, things are big and things are very rough when it comes to finals. But of course, I thought that I should bring to your attention this particular video, because for the rugby lovers, because today's show is more or less more of rugby content, because that is what happened during the weekend. Let me just bring to your attention that when you see a number 3, that is a loose head prop, run the way this guy ran, you should know that these people are in the finals. This is a video of one man, Derek Oyo, who is a Falcons player at number 3, and he made a very strong run in this particular encounter. Just get to see this particular clip.
Good boy!
Now, we are speaking about the celebrations, the kind of celebrations that these people make. I don't know whether you guys got a chance to see that celebration. And if you didn't see that celebration, I'll be posting it in my social media platforms, so you can also get a chance to follow me, and also Switch TV, because we are going to post that particular celebration so that you guys can have a fun time in regards to matters sports. Now, I don't know which side we are taking in the dimension, because it was big also the weekend, and my director Bobby, I'm not sure where to go next, because you're the one guiding me now, and I'm sure he's also a Manchester United fan, and this is just for the rugby fans, and just a mention, because Harlequins, the Kenya Harlequins club, which happens to be at the Ngong Road Center, watu wenye mnaendaga huko Ngong Road, mnajua penye iko Harlequins. This is they just more or less inviting new players who are currently playing rugby, and you are over the age of 18, over to 20 years old. You can go and get a chance to play for that particular club, and also be part of those trials. Yeah. Now we are going to matters Embu 7's, because we are ushering in the 7th season, the 7th circuit. And one thing about 7's is that 7's is incredible, and 7's is lovely piece of action when it comes to rugby. And Embu 7's is giving you a chance to witness this. Embu 7's will be up, that is on 7th May, if I've gotten the dates right. That is 7th and 8th of May. And you can get a chance to be part of this lovely sporting action piece. It will be over there, Kule Embu. And it's not a big piece. Those are just but the pictures of what was going down in the last edition of the Embu 7's. And in line to that, also the National 7 circuit is going to be part and he's going to be coming in this particular year. And I must be I'm safe to say that we only left with 3 good weeks to witness the National 7's circuit. And the National 7's circuit will be starting with Kabeberry 7's, because Kabeberry 7's, which will be hosted by Mwamba, will be here at the RFUEA grounds, and also the Christie 7's, which will be hosted by the Kenya Harlequins, will also follow suit that particular weekend. Then it will take suit over to 6 legs just here for us. And now I'm just shifting my gears and moving on swiftly to Ferdinand Omurwa Omanyala, who will be taking part in the National Challenge, because this is another competition for him, and they'll be beginning out from tomorrow. That is on Tuesday all the way, and it's going to be an athletic event that we're going to witness Omanyala coming in. I think Omanyala will be in a position to set up another new record when it comes to matters athletics. Now, be sure to watch him when it comes to the 100 meters. Now, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. I'm talking about the fun experience. Now, fun experience, I must say this one, let me just give it to the Falcons, because it was a big event this weekend for them. That is the national playoffs, and they clinched it by beating Zitek in this particular encounter. And one thing about rugby players is that you have fun when you win a big match. Now I leave you with this fun experience as we catch that short commercial break. Okay, welcome to Monday Night Sports. This is just but the second segment. You know, we started in at a very strong footing because we were talking about Matters Rugby, and you can attest that the weekend was heavily packed with Matters Rugby, and it was bigger and even better. The new term to think about it. But of course, joining me on set is a very good friend of mine, and of course you know him in this particular football scene, especially those ones of you who actually tend to focus more on grassroots football. I'm talking about none other than Coach Boni mwenyewe. Na unajua Boni, hii ubeshte yetu, I don't know whether hii jina yako ya pili unipotea sana.
Like Boniface Mutuku.
Boniface Mutuku is the name. Now I know him as Boni, and I'm fond of just calling you Chesco Boni. Now I've even realized that I actually need to send you some money so that I may just realize your second name. Tuma mpesa kweli kweli.
That will be better.
That will be better.
Yeah.
But I trust you've been well. You know, for coaches and all people in charge of the sporting fraternity at large, we usually have one problem. When it's Monday, we are hangovered for a different thing.
Yeah.
Hangovered because it has been a heavily packed weekend in terms of sports.
Sure.
Weekend yako imekuaje?
My weekend was good. Actually, I was out with my boys. They really enjoyed because it was a back to school weekend. Yeah.
So that was Elite.
Yeah.
Elite Academy.
Yeah.
And just because we've mentioned that, let me just bring to your attention, because he will be here and will tell us things in line to Manchester United. Today I actually brought an expert because Manchester United hired in a coach. And one thing that you don't know about Boni is also a Manchester United fan.
Sure.
And what has been going on in Manchester United. But of course, he'll be sharing in line too. Eric ten Hagen, the new man for Manchester United. Does he think he's really in the best capacity to serve or hold that particular position? But right about now, Boni, let me take you to Matters local football. You know, before we talk about this one, because I understand that, you know, today is the last day in office for the caretaker committee.
Sure.
That one is a story for another day. I think that one will just have a glance at it. But of course, we have the second opinion here, and it's the second matter, and it's at hand. Mathare United. Do you think that Mathare United are pulling out of this particular league?
Actually, it's a very unfortunate time for the Mathare United. Over the weekend, they gave out the 3 points. because of they didn't have funds for the match. I think it's a very bad situation at our country right now because teams are playing the league. They have nowhere to go. The league is not recognized somewhere, anywhere, like because of maybe the suspension by FIFA. We have the scuffle between the federation and the caretaker committee, of which the term is expiring today. Then all those things are bringing all this, whereby you can see the likes of Mathare pulling out the league because there is no money, there are no sponsors. So that means most of our teams will be suffering a lot. Yeah.
And now just to bring to your attention, or maybe just get to hear what you have to say about it, because for the longest time ever, is the problem Mathare or is the problem the Kenyan Premier League? Because we are looking at Mathare being the holder over a lot of good sponsors.
Sure.
For lack of a better word, I don't want to mention the sponsors here, but then we've seen Mathare holding a lot of sponsors. But at this time round, I even attended a Mathare United game, and I realized that even looking at the jerseys, you see some sense of the jerseys being very old, the jerseys are worn out, and this is a Kenyan Premier League side. Sure. This is a side that we can relate with the likes of Modo, who is actually handling Bandari, and Modo is supposed to handle them, and they were not in a position to do do such.
Yeah, I think if you look at the situation at Mathare right now, they've been having good sponsors. I think also in our country we have a problem of management because having good sponsors like the one we don't want to mention, like 4, 5, 6 kind of sponsors, that means there is something that they are not doing right. And
to keep their sponsors, that is.
Sure. And that's why now the team is begging. They don't have funds. They cannot maybe organize for maybe a single match. That means there's a lot that need to be done in our country in terms of management.
Okay, now thank you for that. And now, first things first, Manchester United. Remember, you can get a chance to get interactive as possible with this particular segment by sending in your comments via our social media platforms at Switch TV KE, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube. You can get touchy over there and tell us what you think is the problem happening in Manchester United, because that is what I'm putting Coach Boni on the spot right here, right now, this particular point. What do you think is the problem with Manchester United? We saw Manchester United losing against Arsenal. Sure. And you know, for any kind of football fan, especially the English Premier League, and the Kenyan fans, Nigerian fans across the world, if you're Manchester losing against Arsenal, is actually a crime, and vice versa.
Sure. It's a very big crime. Yeah, because if you look at Manchester, I think where we lost our footing is when Fergie retired, because the first coach that took place, immediately the first replacement, that is where we got it wrong. First replacement. And then along the way, we've been employing more coaches. I think they have not been given that enough time, because if I am a coach and I'm given a task, I need to emphasize on my philosophy, coach the team, make sure now that the philosophy is working. But for Manchester United, it has been like a coach for 2.5 seasons, 1.5 seasons, then that one is gone, we bring in another one. So that one is a very big problem. And then if you look at the body language of our players, there is something cooking behind off the pitch.
The locker room.
Yes, off the pitch, because you cannot tell me Mourinho came in, he coached some few players, same players, no results, just making good results, some few good results, then goes another coach comes in, makes the team plays 4, 5 matches winning, then the same problem arises again. There is a very big problem off the pitch.
So you think it's a problem with sabotage? Do you think the players in Manchester United actually are sabotaging the club?
Sure, because if you look at the names, players like Cristiano Ronaldo have been there, Rashford has been there. If you look at the midfield, Fred has been there. We have like the likes of Vanane, the goalkeeper, has been there, consistent. That means there's a very big problem there is a sabotage, because you cannot play 1, 2, 3 matches winning, and then after some few matches, now you start losing, drawing, losing. There's a very big problem behind the scene.
And now, let me just take you forward. Let's speak about Arsenal, because we've seen Arsenal being a club that, to some extent, has actually maybe attracted some ridicule, attracted even some memes around it, because Arsenal has not been performing.
Sure.
But the club, in a span of a week, Arsenal has managed to damage 2 giants.
Sure.
And that
Making
is
more
Chelsea
goals. And Manchester.
many goals.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, and both convincing wins.
Sure.
What can you speak about the club?
I can talk about consistency. Consistency is very key in sports, because if you look at Arsenal, they were losing. There were a lot of streak of losing, but the coach was given time, enough time to work with the team. Now, the work is paying out. You can see the results. You can see the results. And if you compare Manchester and Arsenal, that is the difference. Because the other day, Ole Gunnar was shown the door. They brought in a caretaker coach who is now maybe trying to settle on the team. But the team, because of the small more problems, that's why the team cannot perform. And then Arsenal now they are picking on the streak. They are now on the mountain. They're climbing the mountain, and that's why they can beat Chelsea, they can beat Manchester, and then maybe the only team that they cannot match is maybe Liverpool, Man City, because Man City, that consistency is there. Yeah.
And now, because we are wrapping it up, let me just ask you, because you are seated at that POV of being a manager, and you know the pressure that comes in with that particular seat. Ten Hagen, just 3 hours ago, or rather just today, he's mentioned that there is a possibility that he might do away with the starting 11.
Yeah, because it's also very tricky for him maybe to work with the crop of players that are in Manchester right now. Because as a coach or as a manager, if I come to the team, I also come with my philosophy of a style of play. So maybe he has been observing the kind of play or the crop of players that are currently at Manchester United. Maybe they cannot fit in his style of play. And that's why he can do away with the first 11. Maybe I remain with few players that can maybe fit. Like, I'm pretty sure that a player like Van de Beek might be among the players that can fit to his style of play, because he has coached him previously.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Is it because that he coached him some time back?
Sure. Yes.
And now, what is the end game for Cristiano Ronaldo? Because there are actually speculations that
he might
does
leave.
not want him in that particular club, and he might leave. And there was also speculations that Cristiano Ronaldo happens to be the problem why Manchester United is not performing.
I don't think so, because if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo at the pitch, he's a player who wants to win. Maybe he's dragged behind by the 10 players, or rather 9 players, because the goalkeeper, we cannot count him on that scene whereby the balls are coming from midfield, defense, but he wants to score. But I think if the coach can look at that situation and try to handle it clearly, I think he might be given that chance, because he's a player who wants to win for Manchester United.
I think the moment you were talking about dragging players back, I think you were just trying to tell us that Maguire, but in a different and a lighter note. But of course, before I let you leave, Bonnie, maybe if you can tell us your social media handles and platforms where we can link up with you and just get to know the kind of work, which is amazing, that you're doing with the crop of young players that are breeding in this country.
Sure. If you want to get me, you can get me at Mbutex45. Then Facebook, Mbuti Mavode. Yes, that is my name. You can find me there. And then what I do with the small kids, I think with this country, we've been having also problem with the way we bring up our players, because the thing I'm talking about is philosophy. If you have one unified philosophy as a country, then that means anytime, any moment, we can go to big tournaments like AFCON, World Cup, Also, Eastern Central will be winning back to back.
With the better philosophy.
Better
that is
philosophy.
it.
Yes.
Now, those are the wise words from Coach Bonnie himself, speaking about philosophy, not only by the bookwork, but of course, even on the speech. Ukicheza, we really need philosophy in our sports and in Kenya as a country, so that our football may prosper and may lead to different and more bigger levels. Now, that has been Monday Night Sports with me, Oronje Kusimba. It has been a lovely pleasure and encounter with you, because you know what we say when it's the weekend. We are talking about matters sports. Next weekend, we'll not witness rugby, because there is no rugby for long. But not long. It's just a matter of time till we witness the National 7's circuit, and I'll keep you up to date in regards to that. But of course, remember, let's keep the sporting conversation going on through our social media platforms at Switch TV KE, Twitter, Instagram, and of course Facebook. Not forgetting YouTube. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. My name is Oronje Kusimba, signing out.